Hey everyone, I never thought that at 36 years old, on a rainy Thursday afternoon of March 12, 2026, I'd find myself in the quiet, paper-scented office of a fraud and family law specialist, watching high-resolution scans of our wedding photos, those sunlit smiles on a Mexican beach 10 years ago, being tagged as potential evidence in a criminal complaint against the woman I once believed was my partner for life. My name is Liam, 36, office coordinator in logistics at a mid-sized firm on the 7th floor of a downtown high-rise. My work was predictable: tracking shipments across oceans, reconciling invoices, fielding calls about delayed containers, finding small wins in cleared customs declarations. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the mortgage and left me energy to come home and be present. Jessica and I had reached our 10th anniversary the previous August. We marked it with dinner at our favorite Italian bistro. Candlelight, Chianti, a quiet toast to the next 10 being even stronger. Our 3-bedroom suburban house had a wide backyard framed by old maples, a 2-car garage we painted together one humid weekend, and a kitchen island where we used to spread cookbooks and dream aloud about the future. No kids yet, we'd said soon for years, always postponing because life was busy. But the possibility still felt warm and possible. I was the steady one, the trusting one, the husband who still texted "drive safe" every morning, refilled her lavender hand soap without prompting, left silly post-it doodles on the mirror when she had early meetings. That Tuesday evening started like hundreds before it. I got home at 5:30, changed into jeans and my faded college hoodie. Start dinner. Garlic and olive oil sizzling in the pan, San Marzano tomatoes crushed by hand, fresh basil torn from the windowsill herb pot. The house smelled like safety, warm, familiar, lived in. Pendant lights spilled soft gold across the oak floors we'd refinished ourselves. In the living room, the TV murmured a nature documentary. Elephants migrating across dusty savannas under a vast orange sky, trunks swaying in slow, deliberate rhythm. Jessica's key scraped in the lock at 7:42 p.m., heels hit the entry tile with sharp, businesslike clicks. Briefcase in one hand, phone in the other. Charcoal pinstripe blazer, sleek ponytail, makeup still perfect after a full day. But her eyes were wrong. Flat, rehearsed, like she'd run lines in the car mirror. She didn't hang her coat, didn't set her bag down, didn't even glance at the stove where steam curled upward. "Liam," she said, voice stripped to monotone efficiency, "you need to leave the house. Tonight. Pack what fits in a bag and get out." The wooden spoon slipped from my fingers, clattered against the pot rim. Red sauce spatters dotted the white stove. "What? Jess, wait, what's happening? Did something go wrong at work? Did we fight and I missed it? I'm not discussing it. The house is effectively mine now. If you're still here in 60 minutes, I will call 911 and report you for refusing to leave and making threats. They will remove you by force if you resist. Don't make me do that." The air sucked out of the room. Refrigerator compressor hummed low. Wall clock ticked louder than it ever had. My pulse hammered in my throat, but I didn't shout, didn't grab her wrist, didn't beg. I simply reached over, twisted the burner knob to off, set the spoon in the sink with careful precision so it wouldn't scratch the stainless, and walked past her to the hall closet. The black duffel bag from our weekend trips waited on the top shelf. I pulled it down. Inside went 3 button-downs for work, laptop and charger, passport from the fire safe, running shoes, toothbrush, the small framed wedding photo from the mantel. Us laughing, wind-tangled hair, Pacific Ocean glittering behind. As I zipped the bag, Jessica stood in the doorway, arms crossed so tightly her knuckles whitened, watching like an auditor. I paused at the front door, hand on the knob. 10 years, Jess. 10 years of us. This is really how you want to end it? Silence. Just that unyielding stare. I stepped out. Door closed with a soft, definitive click. Porch light snapped off a second later, dropping the steps into cold March darkness. Wind sliced through my hoodie. I sat in the car, engine off, for what felt like an eternity, staring at the house. Warm light still glowing behind curtains, dinner probably burning now, smoke detector about to chirp. Then I started the engine and drove through thickening rain to Eric's apartment 25 minutes away. My best friend since college opened the door in gray sweatpants and a worn t-shirt, saw my face and the duffel, stepped aside without a word. I dropped the bag in the entry and sank onto his couch. Rain hammered the windows like impatient drumming. That night I lay awake, staring at the popcorn ceiling, listening to the city breathe outside. No tears, no rage yet, just the first thin, cold thread of clarity weaving through the numbness. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't burnout or a midlife snap. This was the opening move in a plan I hadn't been invited to read. Liam's almost surreal calm during the eviction reflects a lifetime of secure attachment. He instinctively de-escalates, preserves dignity, avoids escalation because his brain still cannot reconcile the woman he loves with this cold stranger. Jessica's emotionless, rehearsed delivery and immediate police escalation expose extreme premeditation, arrogance, and entitlement. She counts on his non-confrontational nature and fear of public humiliation to ensure compliance. The violent rupture, from cozy dinner ritual to forced banishment, induces acute cognitive dissonance, freezing him in compliance while his subconscious begins cataloging every prior inconsistency. This single moment is the absolute fracture point. Once the shared home becomes a tool of coercive control, every memory of love and safety is retroactively poisoned. The signs had been there for nearly a year, small, insidious, easy to dismiss when you want to believe everything is fine. Mornings once anchored us. Alarm at 6:15. I'd start coffee, slice apples for lunch while the shower ran. Jessica would emerge in her robe, hair damp and citrus-scented, steal a sip from my mug, press a quick kiss to my temple. Morning, handsome. Lately that dissolved. She'd appear fully dressed, blazer buttoned, makeup complete, grab her travel tumbler, stand at the island scrolling without looking up. Big day, she'd mutter if I asked. No kiss, no shared glance, just notifications pulling her away. We shared an office building, logistics on 7, marketing/sales on 9. For years we'd sync lunch or at least ride the elevator together, rolling eyes at corporate buzzwords. Over the last 8 months those moments vanished. Leaving early, taking stairs, cardio. When we did share an elevator, her smile was brief, professional. Once I reached to tuck a stray hair behind her ear. She flinched, just a micro-movement, but enough to sting. Evenings changed gradually, then completely. Home after 9:30, often 11. Client dinner, team brainstorm, networking drinks. I keep plates warm, eat alone under 2 bright overhead lights, save leftovers. She'd walk in carrying faint wine, unfamiliar cologne, sometimes cigarette smoke despite quitting years ago. How was it? Productive? Tiring? Conversation ended there. Her appearance evolved deliberately. New blazers, silk blouses, pointed heels that announced her before she spoke. Makeup bolder, winged liner, matte reds. 40 minutes in the locked bathroom each morning. Music low. One Saturday I knocked. Need anything from the store? Sharp reply through the door. Busy. Just go. Intimacy faded to nothing. She slept turned away, pillow as barrier. My touch met, too tired or headache. Last attempt. Awkward. Mechanical. She rolled over immediately, phone in hand, typing in blue light. I lay listening to soft taps, heart sinking. Who got her at 1:17 a.m.? Finances showed cracks. Joint card, $187 wine bar Thursday, she worked late. $320 hotel lounge client lunch, $890 jewelry, anniversary planning, months early. Reimbursement coming. Expense report filed. I believed because doubt felt like betrayal of us. Eric noticed during Friday beers. Jess seems gone lately. Cold. You okay at home? I laughed it off. Work stress. His frown lingered. I tried. Booked anniversary cabin, fireplace, trails, hot tub. Showed confirmation over pasta. Thought we could reset. Tight smile. Sweet, but Q1 is crazy. Maybe later. No hug. Phone reclaimed her attention. Tuesday eviction tied every thread. Packing the duffel, Every late night, locked door, deflected touch replayed in sharp focus. I'd lived beside a facade for months and chosen blindness. Eric's apartment became my temporary command center. The spare room was small, single bed pushed against the wall, a rickety folding table that served as desk, one narrow window overlooking a parking lot dotted with rain-slicked cars. He didn't ask many questions that first night, just handed me a fresh towel, a spare charger, and said, "Sleep if you can. We'll figure the rest tomorrow." I didn't sleep. I lay on my back staring at the faint water stain on the ceiling, replaying Jessica's face in the doorway. No anger, no tears, just cold, practiced certainty. Like she'd already mourned the marriage months earlier and moved on to logistics. The next morning, Wednesday, March 13th, 2026, I woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Eric tapping on his laptop in the kitchen. He slid a mug toward me without looking up. "Security app still linked to your phone?" I checked. Yes. Motion alerts from the night before. Front door opened at 11:47 p.m. New user code entered. Interior cameras manually disabled at 11:52. She'd changed the locks and killed the feeds within an hour of my leaving. Methodical. No emotion wasted. I started small and quiet. Logged into our shared Google Drive from Eric's machine. Half the folders were gone. Vacation photos from Costa Rica, scanned mortgage papers, the digital folder of house renovation receipts we'd kept for taxes. Wiped clean. No trash bin recovery. Deliberate. Then memory clicked. Jessica's secondary laptop. An older Dell she kept at home for backup work. Years ago, when she first got the promotion, we'd set up remote access so I could pull files if she forgot something at the office. I hadn't used it in ages, but the credentials were still in my password manager. At 2:18 a.m. that night, while Eric snored in the next room, I typed them in. The login worked. Buried in a folder misleadingly named Project Q3 Archive was an email thread and a hidden chat export from WhatsApp Web. The sender, Ryan Whitaker. Sales director, floor 9. 6'2", always wore those crisp navy suits and a Rolex he liked to flash at happy hours. The same Ryan who'd clapped me on the back at last year's company Christmas party and bellowed, "Liam, you lucky son of a bitch. Marrying Jess was the best deal you ever closed." The messages started 8 months earlier, July 2025. "Jessica, July 14th, he still thinks we're just in a rough patch. Keeps asking if I'm okay. It's almost sweet how blind he is. Ryan, July 15th, perfect. The more he trusts, the easier this gets. I've been practicing your husband's signature. Loop on the L is tricky, but I've got it down. Prelim listing agreement draft is ready. Once he's physically out, we file the abandonment notice and list immediately. Jessica, July 20th, police threat worked like a charm last night simulation. He'll pack and leave without drama. No yelling, no fight. Pathetic how predictable he is. Ryan, July 21st, 60-40 split after closing costs and taxes. We wire to the new account in phases so it looks like normal transfers. Then we disappear for 6 months, maybe Portland or Austin. Fresh start. You deserve a life that doesn't revolve around spreadsheets and suburban boredom." Jessica, August 3rd, he noticed the jewelry charge. Fed him the anniversary planning line. Bought it instantly. God, he's so trusting it's almost boring. My stomach turned over. The house, our house, was the target. Bought with my inheritance down payment, $85,000 from my grandmother, and her first big commission bonus. Equity now around $320,000 according to last Zillow estimate. They plan to force me out, claim I abandoned the property, sell fast using forged documents, split the proceeds, and vanish. I forwarded the entire thread, over 140 messages, to an encrypted Proton Mail account Eric set up for me earlier that evening. Then I closed the laptop, sat in the dark, and breathed through my mouth until the nausea passed. Eric found me at 6:45 a.m., hunched over the table, coffee cold. I turned the screen toward him without a word. He read in silence, jaw tightening line by line. When he finished, he leaned back, rubbed his face with both hands. "This isn't divorce," he said quietly. "This is conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery of legal documents, theft by deception. We need forensic-level proof, screenshots with timestamps, bank records, anything that shows intent. And we need a lawyer who eats white-collar criminals for breakfast. Today, I nodded. The hollow place inside me was filling. Not with grief yet, but with something colder and sharper. Purpose. That afternoon Eric drove me to a small law office in the east part of the city. Richard Harlan. Mid-50s, wire-rimmed glasses, calm voice that never rose. Listened to the story without interrupting. When I showed him the exported chat screenshots, he didn't flinch. Premeditated, he said simply. They've crossed into felony territory. Forging a signature on a real estate listing agreement is fraud. Transferring marital funds without consent is potentially embezzlement or conversion. We can seek an emergency restraining order on the property, freeze joint accounts, and file for divorce with a fraud claim. But first we need more. Physical evidence. Financial trails. Witnesses if possible. He gave me a checklist. Full bank statements, joint and any new accounts I could access. Copies of any real estate documents I could photograph. A location data proving repeated meetings. Any third-party corroboration. I left the office with a folder of forms and a strange calm. The man who'd walked out with one duffel bag was already gone. In his place was someone who understood that trust had been a luxury I could no longer afford. The discovery of the messages marks the decisive psychological pivot. Betrayal shifts from emotional abandonment to active criminal conspiracy. Jessica's casual contempt, pathetic, boring, and Ryan's gleeful participation expose raw arrogance. They genuinely believed Liam's trusting, non-confrontational nature made him permanently defenseless. The forged signature plot elevates the stakes to felony level, retroactively reframing 10 years of marriage as a long con with a financial endgame. Eric's immediate tactical pivot becomes Liam's lifeline, preventing despair from paralyzing him. From this moment forward, reconciliation is not merely unlikely, it is conceptually impossible. Once your spouse forges legal documents to erase your equity in the family home, any remaining emotional bond is already ashes. We built the case piece by piece, like assembling a bomb in reverse. Every component photographed, timestamped, backed up in 3 places. First, finances. Eric's security consulting contacts ran quiet public record searches. Jessica had opened a high-yield savings account at a different bank 6 months earlier. Small transfers from the joint account, $1, $200 here, $800 there, labeled consulting reimbursement or miscellaneous, nothing flagged by the bank, but the pattern was clear. Second, physical meetings. The messages mentioned Wednesday nights at the Blue Ridge Motel as their safe spot. I staked out the place the following Wednesday, March 19th. Parked 3 blocks away in a borrowed nondescript sedan Eric arranged, zoom lens on a tripod in the passenger seat. They arrived at 7:12 p.m. in Ryan's silver Lexus SUV. Jessica stepped out first, laughing, head thrown back in a way I hadn't seen in years. Genuine joy. Ryan pulled her close, kissed her deeply right there in the parking lot under the sodium lights. Faces clear. License plate visible. I recorded 42 seconds of video, hands steady on the camera. Third, the house itself. Jessica hadn't changed the garage keypad code, arrogance or oversight. I went late on a Thursday when she was at a client dinner. Slipped in through the side door, heart hammering so loud I thought the neighbors would hear. Her desk in the spare bedroom, bottom drawer unlocked. Inside, the preliminary listing agreement, my signature forged at the bottom. The loop on the L was perfect, the slight tail on the M identical. I photographed every page with my phone, macro lens attachment, timestamped each shot. Also found a thumb drive labeled Closing Docs. Copied it to my laptop before slipping out. No alarm. No cameras reactivated. Fourth, the workplace angle. Sarah and Gwyn worked in HR on floor 8. We'd exchanged polite nods for years. Elevator small talk about weather or cafeteria food. I met her for coffee offsite on March 25th at a quiet cafe 2 blocks from the office. Explained the situation in low tones, showed her redacted screenshots. No identifying details yet. Her face tightened. I can't comment officially on personnel matters, she said carefully. but there have been whispers. Inappropriate relationship between marketing and sales. Questionable expense reports. Ryan's name came up more than once. If you have evidence of financial misconduct tied to company resources, I can make sure it reaches the right desk anonymously. 2 days later, she forwarded a zip file from a burner email. Internal emails Ryan had sent boasting to colleagues about securing a major personal asset soon and big payday coming. Jessica CC'd on 3 of them. By early April, I had 240-plus screenshots of messages with timestamps, 42-second motel video, clear faces, plate number, a high-resolution photos of forged listing agreement, copied thumb drive contents, draft closing docs, wiring instructions, a bank transfer records showing $18,400 moved in 14 increments. Internal company emails from Sarah. A location pings from Jessica's shared Find My iPhone before she removed me, placing her at Ryan's condo 27 times in 6 months. My hands no longer shook when I reviewed the folder. The hollow feeling had filled with something cold, clear, and unbreakable. Resolve. Liam entered the marriage expecting loyalty tempered by 10 years of shared history. Reality delivered a meticulously orchestrated financial heist disguised as domestic partnership. Jessica's arrogance, leaving digital trails, unchanged garage code, casual workplace boasting, stemmed from underestimating the quiet, predictable husband she dismissed as soft. Ryan's hubris, company emails, public parking lot kisses, compounded the error. The gap between illusion, stable, loving marriage, and truth, criminal conspiracy, forced Liam's complete awakening. Love does not immunize against fraud, but patient, methodical evidence can dismantle it. The confrontation was scheduled for April 8, 2026, at 2 p.m. in a small, neutral coffee shop called The Grind, 2 blocks from Richard's law office. I chose it deliberately. Public security cameras in every corner, baristas who could serve as witnesses, and easy access to the courthouse if things escalated. Eric drove me there in his truck. He parked across the street, engine running, ready to step in if needed. Richard sat beside me at a corner table, charcoal suit immaculate, thick folder of exhibits resting between us like a loaded weapon. I hadn't slept much the night before. The motel video looped in my mind on repeat. Jessica's genuine laugh, Ryan's hand on her waist. The forged signature on the listing agreement felt burned into my retinas. I kept touching the USB drive in my pocket, the one containing every screenshot, every bank transfer, every internal email Sarah had quietly forwarded. My hands were steady now. The rage had burned down to something colder. Surgical clarity. Jessica arrived at 2:03 p.m. exactly. Heels clicking across the tiled floor, charcoal blazer sharp, hair in the same sleek ponytail she'd worn the night she evicted me. She spotted Richard first and faltered mid-step, just a fraction of a second, but I saw it. Her eyes flicked to me, then to the thick folder. She forced a tight smile and slid into the chair opposite us. "Liam," she said, voice still carrying that rehearsed calm. "What's this about? If you're trying to drag this out." I didn't let her finish. I slid the folder across the table slowly, deliberately. No drama, no raised voice, just the soft thud of paper on wood. "Open it." She did, page by page. First, the printed screenshots of the WhatsApp thread, timestamps glowing in red, her own words staring back at her. "He's so trusting it's almost boring." Ryan's replies about forging my signature. The 60/40th split plan. The disappear for 6 months line. Her face drained of color. The confident mask cracked. Then the motel video. I played it on my phone. Muted, but the image is unmistakable. Her head thrown back in laughter. Ryan pulling her into a deep kiss under the parking lot lights. License plate visible. Date and timestamp in the corner. She looked up. "This is manipulated. Deepfake. You can't prove anything." Richard spoke for the first time, voice low and even like he was discussing quarterly reports. "We've already filed an emergency motion to freeze all joint accounts and halt any real estate activity on the property. Title company received notice this morning. Your forged signature on the preliminary listing agreement has been flagged. Handwriting expert retained. The bank transfers totaling $18,400 have been traced to an account you opened without Liam's knowledge. And Sarah in HR has opened an internal investigation at the company. Ryan is already on administrative leave as of 10 a.m. today. Jessica's hands trembled slightly as she turned another page. Internal company emails where Ryan bragged about securing the big asset. Her name CC'd. Her voice shifted from denial to venom in under 10 seconds. You think this scares me? I'll fight this for years. I'll drag you through every court. You'll lose the house, the savings, everything. You're still the same weak. I cut her off quietly. I don't want years, Jess. I want you gone. The house stays in my name alone. The divorce papers are already drafted with fraud claims attached. Sign them quietly and the police stay out of it. Or we can let the district attorney decide what forged real estate documents and marital fund theft look like in open court. She stared at me for a long moment. The coffee shop hummed around us. Espresso machine hissing, soft jazz playing overhead, the barista calling out a name. For the first time in 10 years, I saw genuine fear flicker behind her eyes. Not remorse, not love, just the terror of losing control. You were always too soft to fight back, she hissed, standing abruptly. The chair scraped loudly. Heads turned. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Thin, cold, certain. Soft people don't spend 6 weeks collecting forensic evidence while pretending everything is fine. You miscalculated. She grabbed her bag, turned on her heel, and stormed out. The bell above the door jingled violently behind her. Richard closed the folder. That went exactly as planned. Freeze orders go into effect at 4 p.m. today. She'll receive the formal divorce petition by courier tomorrow morning. If she fights, we have enough to involve the DA. Eric texted from across the street. She just peeled out like her car was on fire. You good? I exhaled slowly. The weight that had sat on my chest since the eviction finally cracked open. Not relief yet, but the beginning of it. That same evening, the company emails started flying through the grapevine. Both Jessica and Ryan placed on indefinite administrative leave pending full investigation. Sarah texted me later, short, professional. HR has everything. They're taking it seriously. I slept that night for the first time in weeks. Deep, dreamless sleep. The illusion was dead. The fight had just begun, but now I held every card. Liam's suppressed rage transformed into precise, controlled action. Choosing a public venue, bringing legal backup, and delivering evidence without raising his voice. This restraint is the direct result of months of internal processing. Anger became fuel for preparation rather than explosion. Jessica's rapid shift from denial to venomous hostility reveals classic narcissistic injury. Loss of control triggers attack mode because genuine remorse was never part of her personality. The absence of tears or apologies confirms the relationship was transactional from her side. Sarah's quiet workplace intervention closes the secondary betrayal loop, office affair plus financial misconduct, showing that external allies can turn the betrayer's own environment against them. The confrontation's quiet power, delivered in a coffee shop rather than the home, prevents the chaotic drama Jessica likely anticipated and marks Liam's irreversible psychological shift from victim to strategist. 5 months later, on September 17, 2026, the divorce was finalized in a quiet courtroom on the 4th floor. Jessica signed everything in exchange for the fraud charges being dropped to civil restitution only. She received nothing from the house equity. Ryan was terminated the same week and faced his own civil suit from the company for misuse of resources. Last I heard, they were both fighting separate legal battles in different cities. The house is mine now, legally, financially, emotionally. I repainted every room myself over 3 long weekends. The master bedroom went from Jessica's preferred cool gray to warm off-white. The kitchen island, where she once stood scrolling her phone, now holds a coffee station and a small herb garden I actually use. The backyard maples are turning gold. I installed a simple fire pit and spend most evenings there with a book or just silence. New locks on every door. New security system with cameras I control. The garage code is something only I know. Eric helped with the final move-in. We grilled steaks on the new fire pit, beers in hand, the same scarred pub table from his apartment now sitting on the patio. "You didn't just survive, brother," he said, clinking bottles. "You took it all back. Most guys would have crumbled." He was right. Sarah and I started slow. Coffee turned into dinners, long walks along the river trail, honest conversations that never felt rushed. She's warm in a way Jessica never was, quick to laugh at my terrible dad jokes, steady when I still wake up at 3 a.m. replaying old scenes. We're taking it one day at a time. No pressure. No secrets. For the first time in years, I feel seen, not managed. I wake up now to sunlight pouring across fresh white walls. I brew my own coffee, black, strong, the way I like it. I run the river trail most mornings. Lungs burning clean, headphones playing old rock I used to love before everything went quiet. I started therapy in June. Once a week, talking through the blind spots I ignored for a decade. The therapist calls it reclaiming narrative control. I call it learning to trust myself again. Some nights I still walk through the empty rooms and remember, not with pain anymore, just distance. The place where she stood the night she evicted me is now where I keep my running shoes. The desk drawer that held the forged documents is now filled with my own paperwork. New title deed, updated will, saving statements with my name only. 10 years taught me the hardest lesson I've ever learned. Trust is a gift you give, but never at the cost of your dignity or safety. When someone plots to erase you, financially, emotionally, legally, the only answer is evidence, boundaries, and the courage to walk away clean. Rage doesn't rebuild. Documentation does. Allies do. And sometimes justice arrives quietly, through frozen accounts, internal investigations, and a new life that finally feels like your own. I'm the same man who left with one duffel bag in the rain. I'm the man who came back, took every key, every dollar, every memory that belonged to me, and rebuilt something stronger. The future isn't soon anymore. It's right now. And for the first time in my life, it belongs entirely to me. This narrative traces the complete anatomy of calculated betrayal in a long-term marriage. Slow emotional erosion masked as stress, escalation into premeditated financial crime, methodical evidence gathering, surgical confrontation, and empowered rebirth. Liam's arc from complacent trust to strategic mastery illustrates a core psychological truth. Resilience is forged in the documentation phase, not in the moment of discovery. Jessica's arrogance and Ryan's complicity highlight how workplace affairs often conceal asset predation. They underestimated the quiet, predictable husband at their peril. The introduction of Eric, emotional anchor, Richard, legal sword, and Sarah, workplace justice, shows that healing rarely happens in isolation. Broader insight: nearly 1 in 4 long-term marriages encounters some form of financial or emotional sabotage hidden behind intimacy. Those who gather irrefutable proof, protect assets immediately, and refuse reconciliation frequently emerge not merely intact, but fundamentally stronger. Clearer boundaries, deeper self-trust, and the capacity for authentic connection. Liam didn't just survive betrayal. He dismantled the plan, reclaimed the house, severed every tie, and rediscovered himself in the process. The chapter is closed. The story now belongs to him alone.